Success. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the third Brussels Digital Workplace Conference. Glad to have all of you here online today for actually already our third conference. We started actually in 2018, so I'm really happy to be organizing for the third year in a row. Not doing this alone. I'm Guy van Leempert, and I work for or with Value Intranet. And I have a colleague, Patrick. Maybe you want to introduce yourself as well.
Yes, I'm Patrick van Rensburg. I'm a founder and owner of IT Works since 30 years, organizing physical conferences and workshops and seminars, loving that. But this is a virtual conference online, and I hope it's as interactive and inspiring as our physical events. So,
all right, very good. Thanks, Patrick. So, like I said, we're doing this for the third year in a row. We started back in 2018 with, like Patrick said, a physical conference. And obviously, right now, we have decided to move to online for all the well-known reasons. We're using an online platform for that. You can think of it as your online conference venue. And that platform is called Whova. It's, like I said, an online conference venue that is basically the place where you will be spending most of your time today. You can go to the various sessions, you can meet with other conference participants, you can go to the booths of all the exhibitors. You can basically do within Whova all the things that you would normally do at a regular conference, but obviously in an online equivalent of it. What I wanted to do today is, as part of the introduction, very briefly remind you of the highlights of the features of Whova. Obviously, you have already managed to get to this stage, so I'm sure you are familiar with at least the basics. I just wanted to quickly walk you through the highlights on the navigation within Whova, so the left-hand side navigation that you will be using quite a lot throughout today. There is an area, of course, with today's agenda. And you've already found that area because you've gone to this introductory session. So this is the place where throughout the day you will see all the sessions listed. You can click on View Session, the View Session button to view more details. And you can also build your personal agenda by clicking on the Add to My Agenda button. And that way you can basically build your personalized program for the day. So that's one area that I'm sure you'll be using quite a lot today. There is also the attendees section. So if you click on that menu item, you come to a list, a searchable list of all the attendees. You can send them messages, you can view their profile, you can basically interact with them through the chat features of Whova. So this is where you can reach out to various other participants, find out who else is at the conference, and start conversations with them. Another interesting area that I would really encourage you strongly to explore is our community area. This is part of Whova where we have set up a number of communities. Some of them are kind of organizational oriented, like Ask Organizers or the organizational announcements. But there are also a few other ones that are more like business oriented. So there is the communities for each of the three tracks of today's conference. We have a specific track that is focusing a lot on communication. We have a track that is focusing more on the people aspect, and we have a track that is focusing more on tools. So you will see those 3 tracks appearing also in the agenda with some color coding, so you can easily find out which sessions are likely to be the most relevant for you. And here also within the community area, there are 3 communities created for the purpose of bringing like-minded people together around those various aspects. So either around communication, people, or tools. Also, I want to point out here at the top the meetups and virtual meets. That's also an interesting feature of Whova, because here you can go and actually set up virtual meetings amongst participants, or also together with the sponsors, with the exhibitors that we'll introduce in just a moment. So this is an area for you to, again, simulate what you may do at a physical conference, is just get together with a couple of people and discuss a particular topic. So that's all available for you to use throughout the day. And finally, I wanted to briefly mention the exhibitor area. We'll talk about the exhibitors in just a moment, but this is the area where each of the sponsors, the sponsoring exhibitors, have, call it a virtual space, a virtual booth in a way, where you can go and find out some information about that particular exhibitor. There's some videos that have been preloaded. There's some more information there as well. Some of the sponsors have put some material up there for download, and I will come to that in just a moment. There will also be some Meet the Partners sessions later in the day today, where you can really specifically go and meet one of these partners and find out more about their offering. So I would again encourage you to explore this exhibitor area here on the left-hand side in the menu as well. And obviously, there's many more features. I'm not going to walk you through all of those. I think these 4 ones that I highlighted are the most important ones. And the other ones, I'm sure you'll discover them as you go along. All right, a little bit more about the program of today. Right now, we're in a kind of a plenary mode, if you wish, with everybody together. But very soon, we will also break up into a number of concurrent sessions. And for each of those concurrent sessions, there will always be 3 in parallel. For each of those concurrent sessions, we have a session host. So I will be hosting one of those concurrent sessions. Patrick will also be hosting one of them, and we have a third host. That's Bart van Rooij. He's also helping us out throughout the day, and will also be one of the session hosts. So you'll, depending on which session you go to, I'm sure you'll be seeing the 3 of us later throughout the day. So that's the session hosts. Then I wanted to briefly talk about the Meet the Partners session. We have a dedicated session where all the partners, all the exhibitors can present themselves and can present their products and their solutions. That's on the agenda at 12:10. So maybe Patrick, if you can show the overview of the list of the partners. So we have around 6 sponsoring partners today. So really wanted to thank all of those already right now: Amplexor, Delaware, eHop, Involve Intranet, Jalios, and Synergix. They all have their virtual booth. They all have their exhibitor space that you can explore throughout the day. Like I said, many of them will be hosting demos, and most of them also have a session at 12:10. And I think one of them is a little bit later, but there are, for all of the partners, opportunities to go and discover their products and solutions during this Meet the Partners session at 12:10. So after the first 2 breakout sessions, we have half an hour dedicated for you to go and look what is available on the market these days in terms of various solutions for your intranet, your digital workplace, etc. All right, then I wanted to talk briefly about the Knowledge Islands, which is also a kind of a novel concept in a way. What we're trying to do with the Knowledge Islands, that's going to be in the afternoon, is to have more debate, more discussion, more learning in smaller groups, again, around the three topics, around the three themes of today's conference. So there will be one Knowledge Island focusing on communication, and I will be moderating that, so moderating the discussion. There will be another Knowledge Island really focusing more on the tools, and that's something that Patrick will be moderating. And we're also very pleased to have Isabelle de Klerk. She cannot join us right now, but she will be in the conference later today. She will be moderating the People Island, so the discussion around impact of the digital workplace on people, some of the HR-related themes, learning aspects, all of that will be covered during her Knowledge Island discussion. So these are really sessions, specific sessions on the agenda that allow you to, in smaller groups with like-minded people, to interact. So we really wanted to introduce some more interactive elements into the conference. We don't want it to be just top-down communication webinar style. We have some of those sessions as well, but we also have these interactive moments where you can discuss, learn from each other, and exchange ideas. So that's really the concept of the Knowledge Islands for this afternoon. So pick the one that is closest to your heart, closest to your area of interest, and then hopefully that will lead to three very interesting discussions. And then finally, don't miss the closing keynote because we have Peter Hinsen. I'm sure many of you know Peter from previous presentations, from his various books, his visionary keynotes on technology, on digital transformation, on future of work. So he is going to address us around the future of work, exactly that topic, at the end of our conference. So a little bit after 4 o'clock, he'll be on stage. So if ever you needed a reason to stay until the end at this conference, well, Peter Hinsen is that reason. So don't miss his speech. He is always, I've seen him a few times in the past. He's always very impressive and very inspiring. So I'm sure today will be no exception. All right, I also wanted to mention that we will be recording most or probably all of the sessions. The idea there is that given that we have this virtual platform Whova, it's really an opportunity for you. If you miss one particular session, then you can still catch up later. Because the platform will stay available for the next coming weeks for sure, and probably even longer. So you can come back tomorrow or next week and catch up a session that unfortunately you missed, or there was a conflict, or you couldn't choose between two sessions that were both interesting. So no problem, sessions will be recorded. They will be, the recordings will be loaded into the platform, and you will have an opportunity to go and rediscover those later. So I just wanted to point that out as well. All right, I think as far as introduction goes, we're coming to the end. I just wanted to remind you as well of the conference hashtag. So feel free to go onto Twitter, onto LinkedIn, onto whatever social media platform of your choice you prefer, and communicate about the conference and share your ideas and share your thoughts. ValueConf20 is the conference hashtag, so don't forget to include that in your social media posts. And then I would say, well, enjoy the conference. I hope that this virtual format will allow us to have an equally inspiring and an equally satisfying conference as the physical ones have been in the past. And I look forward to seeing many of you with your camera on in some of the Zoom sessions, or in some of the Teams sessions, or in some of sessions using this technology later throughout the day. All right, then I'm going to give the floor back to Patrick, who will introduce our first speaker of today, our opening keynote speaker. So Patrick, I'm going to give the floor to you to introduce Dave to the audience.
Thank you very much. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce Dave Geentjens. Dave is the program manager of the digital workplace at the Flemish government. The Flemish government started its migration to a new digital workplace in 2018 with a strong focus on user adoption and digital dexterity. They were key to success, and Dave will tell you more about how this story, which some of you may have heard last year, was already at the physical second digital workplace conference in Brussels. That story has really fortified and stress tested during the Corona crisis. And just like other companies, the Flemish government and Dave also has learned a lot about how to use these digital workplaces effectively, particularly if in the challenging times that we're in, and particularly with a lot of people working from home. He will also tell us more about hybrid working, the hybrid workspace. Dave, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, Patrick. A completely digital conference. Who would have thought that last year? I want to remind everybody that we have a 10-second delay, but don't let that stand in the way of asking questions on the Whova platform. I have in my presentation 2 touch points where we can go into some of your questions. But first, let me introduce you to the workings of the Flemish government, for those who weren't there last year. We have different areas that we have a mandate to work in as a Flemish government, and you can see them here on the screen. We have in the top icon, we have our institutions. Now we go clockwise into finance. You all pay taxes, so you know what that is about. We have innovation and businesses, very important now. A lot of businesses are in trouble through the Corona crisis. My colleagues there aid these businesses with funds. We have education, health, sports, culture, youth, and media. We have transportation. We do the roads, we do the buses. We do not do the trains. That's not us. We have transportation. We have the environment. Now, all these different areas are clusters where a lot of different entities are gathered, and each of these entities, they have autonomy. So the Flemish government is not a typical hierarchical organization. We are more of a consortium of a lot of different little companies, where we, as the facility company, and you see the little yellow one here, around here, I think, it's where I work, and we are a sort of a shared service provider to the rest of these entities. In total, we have in the Flemish government 29,000 people working, but our shared services are not sold to all of these partners. We have these partners that you can see, and that still counts for 13,000 knowledge workers who are transcribed into the digital workplace that we from the facility company offer to the Flemish government. Where do these people work? We have 5 big buildings in Brussels. You see them here on the pictures. 2 of those are going to be replaced by a new building that we're building just across the train station in Brussels North. We have 5 buildings in each province's one, and then scattered throughout the territory, Flanders, we have about 250 extra locations where employees of the Flemish government are working. Just to paint the picture, what it means to bring all these people into a digital workplace. And 2020 is the year that we were migrating to Teams as the key component of this digital workplace. And as Patrick already told you, we focus on user adoption and trying to get enough digital dexterity so we can also get the benefits of this digital workplace. And for that, we set a complete plan in motion. Last year, I told you about the lessons learned we had from the previous migration, and we took them into this migration. So we still have a lot of elements to get people on board. And the first thing that we did was an investigation together with our communication company Gaga and Sue Amsterdam to find out what makes people, what is important for people, what are topics where they are susceptible to change. And we located 4 areas and then pointed all of our efforts into those 4 areas. So we started up last year. You can see the graph here. It's the report from Office 365, and the orange part is the Teams usage. So you see we started around February, where you have an increase, and then in March you have this tremendous increase. Of course, you know why that is. It's the big game changer. It's the Corona crisis that happens. And although it's a terrible situation for from a digital workplace perspective, we thought this is a game changer. This looks like instant Teams adoption. For the implementation of a digital workplace, it cannot get any better because everybody is in the digital workplace. So we thought, let's ride this wave, let's pile up extra communication and training and get everybody ready to step into this digital workplace and use it as best as they can. We also hired Isabel de Klerk to help us and to teach people the ins and outs of digital work through webinars. So, sorry. So we really stepped into this. We made this whole customer journey with an introduction video, thanks to our friends of Gaga. Webinars with Isabel to see how we have to work at home, how to manage things from home. We had a lot of different digital trainings where people could just follow the training when they saw fit, because really digital. Our friends from Learnia Kronos helped us with that. And then we piled on extra webinars to teach people the basics of Teams and the advanced workings of Teams. Our friends from Synergis helped us with a lot of those webinars. And then the basis is the bottom end around here, I think. We had a digital community. We still have a digital community in Yammer. We have a service desk people can call to. We have the Oasis platform from Xylus, and we have our own knowledge database. So a lot of elements to support people to use this digital workplace. And we had also a questionnaire asking people what they thought of that. And this is where it gets interesting, because the results of these questionnaires showed us that everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows what is there, the support that is there, but nobody is using it. Nobody is maybe a bit strong, but a lot of the majority is not using everything we have in place here. And why is that? We checked the reports of Office 365 because they don't need it. Because if we see what people are doing, and you see that on the graph here at the top, this is actually the breakdown of the Teams usage. You see this tremendous rise of chatting, but all the rest of the digital workplace that is interesting is not being used. The bottom here is the usage of Yammer, the tool for digital community, where you do not see this rise that you see in Teams. So people are not building this digital community. And how is that possible? In the meanwhile, we're around July, I think, we get more and more signals that people are really getting tired, that this digital workplace that they've been thrown in and that they've been working in for full 2 months that they are really getting tired. And people also are telling us this social isolation is wearing down. And we tried everything. We tried the Friday night aperitif with the colleagues through Teams. We tried the check-ins and the stand-ups, but still it's not the same. So what's going on? We reflected, and there are a few things that we learned. These digital skills that we aspire to get the real value of this digital workplace, and the real value is in asynchronous collaboration, I'll come back to that, are not being adopted. It's not automatically. The boundaries between life and work are disappearing from work and home, and even I had this problem. It's normal. You step out of bed, you open your laptop up, you're working, and you're working till you close it again. You can do that for a few days, but not for months. That really wears you out. So time management in the digital workplace, time management at home is essential for working in this digital arena. And last but not least, Corona really called our bluff. We used to say last year we were in a sort of emancipatory discussion for the digital workplace, that it is as good as a physical workplace and that we can do everything there. But our bluff is called, and now we have to admit that physical interaction is more important than we thought, and needs to be reevaluated and placed in this total concept. So in the Flemish government, we took a step back and thought, what is work? What is work for us, and what is important? And we put that into two axles, being the asynchronous versus the synchronous, and that means asynchronous is I can collaborate with people while they are not simultaneously working with me, and synchronous is we're all at the same time working together. And managed and unmanaged is from my perspective, can I manage my time here, or is it managed for me, or am I doing these things in the time that I do not have managed? And on these axles we put where can we do this work, and all the asynchronous work, and that's important, is possible to do it digitally. We're doing it digitally. There's no other way of doing it. And for the synchronous parts, we have two elements where we can actually have a choice for some of the work we do. Are we doing this digitally or are we doing this physically? And there are stuff that we have to do physically. There's no other way of doing it. And on that we map different actions. So operational work, although it's very managed, it's not managed by me, it's managed by my boss. So that's there, and I have to do it physically. If I'm working in the kitchen, I have to go to the kitchen. Direct interactions, the typical coffee machine moments, we can choose there whether we do it physical or digital, and we have to weigh whether the risk of exposure or the transportation is worth having the interaction. We have to weigh that. And then on the managed part, we have meetings and organizational culture. The last part, we're very sad we do not have the office moments, office events, team building events. Those are all physical, or otherwise they don't really work. And meetings, we also have the choice of doing it digital or physical. And there we really have to look on is this a meeting about a complex matter or an emotionally charged matter? And there we have the choice, are we going to do this digital or physical? Now, more important, the top of our schematic, those are the skills that we are lacking today. And I'm starting with the top in the yellow, focus work in the digital workplace asynchronously. If I have to work to get something done, I have to block a moment in my calendar where I am not distracted and I can work even at home. The same for asynchronous collaboration. If you look at your teams, you see 20 teams where you're in and you have to manage them. Block a space and manage that, because it's important. It's what you're doing. And mail, we already know that we have to have 2 moments a day to manage our mail, and not do it all the day, but really who is doing that? We need some more discipline in those areas. And then the thing that is really lacking especially in Flemish government, the rest of the time that is not managed and that I can spend digitally, that is ideal for social media and knowledge sharing. But I have to know how to use this social media in a business context to get value from it. It's not just checking your Facebook. It's really work, and we have to teach the skills to do that. So great, we had this new schematic. Like I'm telling you, let's check this by management. Let's see if we can get this through this whole Flemish government and build on it for skill building. So we first checked it with our own management, and this is what we got. The most important question from our management is, how many days a week are we going to allow home office work? Not skills, not our schedule. That's the main question. And from a perspective, are we going to do 5 work days as an innovative organization, or are we going to a conservative 3? How are we going to do the logistics if everybody works at home? What are the consequences? And what about all our offices, the ones I showed you earlier? What if everybody works at home, or everybody chooses different days to come to the offices? What are we going to do about that? Important questions that our model couldn't answer. But first, I'm going to have a touch point with you and ask Guy if there are already some questions. Guy.
All right. Yeah, let me have a look. There's a question around returning to the office. Somebody's asking the question, do you think we will return to the office like nothing happened before as soon as Corona is under control? Or do you think it's going to be more like a hybrid future of work? What is your view on that?
I think that Corona really called our bluff, and the physical workplace is needed, but the digital workplace really proves itself as an efficient and valuable tool that in a lot of situations even trumps the physical workplace, just not all situations. There are good reasons why we need the office environment, but not exclusively to do all our work. So it's proven beyond doubt that this digital workplace has value, so that cannot be ignored in the future. So I think a hybrid workplace will be the future. There is no doubt about it.
Okay. I also thought it was interesting. You said that the first question of management is really about how many days per week we're going to do home working, as if that's really the most important or the most pressing issue. Do you think there is an issue with management culture that is working against the hybrid way of working in the future, or how do you see the role of management there?
Not really, but let me continue my story, and then you'll see the answer. It's logical that my management asks these questions, because you saw how many buildings we have and how many people are working for us, and we didn't really have a good answer to these questions. So we elaborated our thoughts, and we went back to where shall we work in the future. And there are a lot of elements already out there, like preference-based working, activity-based working. So we try to get that also into a model. And if we look to our offices, you can already split them in 3 activity-based elements, from a focus perspective, a collaboration perspective, meeting places, and team perspective. Now, if you expand that to the preference-based locations, you can add either the home area and the public area. And you have these same 3 activity-based elements there. So you get actually 9 working situations where all our employees are working. Now, this is not new. We already have this. We're already doing it. So what is different? Pre-corona, if we are working in one of these places, everybody is working in the same place. And most of the time, that would be the office, because the office has the best equipment to do so. If we're moving out home or to the public, we do not need a lot of elements to do our work there, because we don't need to be connected, and because everybody is there. And that is the big difference to the hybrid workplace. In the future, we will all be in different places and still need to work together, and that is the key of hybrid work. So it especially shows itself in doing digital meetings with physical and digital participants who are across all these different areas. Also, working as a team and being connected gets a new meaning, because we are not all together in that same place. Our team can be scattered around. And I know that there are companies who are already in this situation because they are, through geolocation, scattered. But as a Flemish government, this is really new for us. And this is where we have to improve. So what is important is that technology connects all these places, and that is really a new ballgame. So we have to make sure that all these 9 places are well equipped for our employees. And that raises some new questions, like if I'm working in the park, how am I getting connected? Is that through 4G? Who's going to pay for that? If I have meeting rooms with people who are digitally tuned in, which equipment am I going to use? Because we need good video and audio, and we have to view these digital people too, so we need new equipment there. And if I'm working from home a lot more than we did before, what equipment do I need? The typical example is I need a good chair to sit on. I have that on the office, not at home. Who's going to pay for this chair? But also, for example, if I need a concentration space in my home, how am I going to do this? What is important? We can really help people with that. So the answer to how many home office today is actually not relevant. It is, we have 5 hybrid work days a week, and people are in these different places. We have 9 sort of locations that need to be connected by technology safely and performantly. And this is also an important element. Everybody is at home now. We have all these buildings and all this space. How are we going to get everybody back there? Because the government is working today. So why do we need them? What is the importance and the benefit of these offices? Well, that is a superior hybrid work capability. It's the place where we'll go to get connected, and that is a new element into office structure. And don't forget, they also have air conditioning, most offices. So in the summer, they're the place to go to. So with this expanded concept, we go back to our management, and now we explained our concept, our broader concept, to the management of all the Flemish government, of all areas that we had. And we got some interesting feedback, because they said, looks great, but it's unmanageable. The managers cannot get this organized. There is too much freedom of choice for employees, and it's not suited for non-knowledge workers. So, guys, let's skip this touch point, because I'm looking at the time, and I would suggest you keep questions till the end, and I'm going to move on, if that's okay. So let's move on. And starting from that question, looks great, but it's unmanageable. And the answer to this is, we have to go to take a step back again and look at what we're doing. And we are a result-driven organization, or we want to be a result-driven organization. I actually stole this picture from a website who said not to use these words in a job application, but still we are result driven. And if we take a step back and we look at the sort of results that we are delivering, we can identify three big categories of results. Those are products, services, and solutions. And for the products, we have a process to make the product, and the driver there is most importantly quantity and quality of this product. We have the same for services, and we have the customers there that are most important. We deliver the services where our customers want them delivered, and the most important driver there is customer satisfaction. And last, we have some managers, project managers, program managers, electricians who are into solutions. And where are they going to be? Well, they're going to be where they can most efficiently overcome the problems that they need to overcome to get to these solutions. So efficiency is the driver there. If we connect that to the digital workplace, we get an interesting new idea. Because for products, it's the product that requires a certain production process, and managers and organizations determine this process. And mobility throughout this digital workplace will be limited by that process. And it's not freedom of choice for people to determine where they will be. It is the needs of the product, the quality and the quantity of the product that will determine that. For example, if I'm a chef, I cannot cook the spaghetti from home and send it to the restaurant by DHL. I need to be in the kitchen to get it right, which is evidently the same for services. Customers will decide where they'll be, and managers and organization will determine the interaction with these customers. If we have people in the reception area of our buildings, we cannot put up a screen and say, here's the receptionist, he's working from home. They have to be there and have to be able to guide this customer to the place that they need to be. So that is what is needed to make this customer happy. So it's not the employee is going to determine where he will be. It's the mobility will be limited by the interactions with this customer. And the same for solutions. Organizations determine their mission and strategy, managers assign goals and benefits, and it's managers, program managers, project managers, general managers, who are going to try to get these, to try to realize this. And their mobility will be limited by the problems that they have to overcome. And I myself am a program manager, and I had to sell this concept that I'm speaking about to my management. And it's rather crucial. So I chose to go there physically. Why? Not because I want to be there physically, because as you can see, I can do it digitally, because that would have the most impact and it would be the most effective way to get my point across. So if we go back to the problem that they stated, managers can organize processes, customer interaction, and problem management. So managers can organize this. There is a little bit freedom of choice. I know that there is a difference in autonomy, but the freedom of choice is really limited by quantity and quality of your product, user satisfaction, and efficiency. Nobody is just choosing where they will be in the organization. It does not work like that. And it is suitable for all employees. So these are the answers that we are going to give our management, because the management check was in September and we have to go back somewhere in October. And I read in the TED yesterday that one of our ministers has told the Flemish Parliament that we are working on a new way of work, and I really hope these answers will be in there, and that we can evolve to a new way of organizing our offices and our way of work. So while you are putting your questions for me into the Whova platform, I going to give you my most important takeaways from this session, and then we can zoom into some questions. And these key takeaways are: first, define work. You can use our schedule, and if you really want to know more, talk to Isabel de Klerk. She's a real specialist in this. But define your work and check if all skills are present. And remember, they are not so automatically. Pay special attention to time management in the digital workplace, and try to get asynchronous work skills into the workforce.
5 minutes left, Dave.
Yes, I'm almost done. Check
Okay,
if all
great.
locations are sufficiently serviced. Make sure you have safe and performant technology. Doesn't need to be Office 365. There are other technologies too, but make sure they are safe and they are performant. And try to get your offices into superior hybrid work capabilities, because that's why people will go back. And last, design processes, services, and problem branches with all the possible hybrid capabilities in mind. Quantity, quality, satisfaction, and efficiency are the drivers for a result-driven hybrid workplace. And I think, Guy, I have still 4.5 minutes left to answer some questions.
All right, very good. Thanks, Dave, for this inspiring presentation. I'm looking at the chat and the session Q&A here, which has been quite lively, so that's good. There's quite a few questions around various topics related to hybrid meetings. There's also a question here that I see around trust. The question is trust an issue for you? Are there concerns, for instance, regarding the productivity of people that are working from home rather than working in the office where their manager can observe them?
Well, for knowledge workers, there were at first, because we had, there are always managers who think that they need to be sitting on their employees like a chicken on eggs. And if they can see them, they can manage them. So there was this this concern in the beginning, but really now it's not there anymore. We have more problems of people trying to get people to work less at home than work more at home. So trust, well, trust is always an issue, and trust is something you need to build by results, by doing it right. So it depends a bit from manager to manager. I like to believe that most managers in the Flemish government are on a result-driven path, where they use the results as a way of seeing if their work is being done and coaching their teams, and not the control that we had in 1950, the need for that to make sure everybody is at their station, because I don't think that is the way of working anymore. But really, the managers who are in this old-fashioned view, they also see that their home workers are really putting themselves out there. So I think these trust issues are going away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, that sounds reasonable. Yeah, maybe one final question, because we're slightly running out of time. So about hybrid meetings, experience with hybrid meetings is what some people are discussing in the chat, actually. So hybrid meetings where some people are physically in a meeting room and others are participating virtually from home. Any experience, any tips and tricks or best practices that you can share?
Well, I think there are two elements very important. There is technology and there is culture. You have to have some, your technology has to be performant and safe to be able to facilitate this. If you have a voice that's dropping and screens that are falling, people who cannot join, you have misery. That has to work well. And there is good technology out there to really make it work, where video is being tracked and audio is fine. So that is one element. The second element, which is at least as important, is you get a good hybrid meeting culture. That is, for example, where do I need to stand if I'm presenting, so that the digital people who are attending can see me and the presentation. How are we going to make sure that if we are in a negotiation where there are people digitally present, how are their voices are going to be heard as with the same weight as the people who are on the table? There is nothing so terrible than you have 3 people in a meeting room and 5 in digitally, where these 3 are just doing everything and all the rest is just looking at it. So the culture is almost as important as the technology to get this ready. And again, if you're redesigning offices, make sure you have that in mind and make sure that you have meeting rooms that are that are hybrid enabled, where you have this technology so that you can facilitate this kind of meetings, because they will be the future.
Okay, makes sense. All right, well, I think we have to close off there because we've come to the end of our allotted time. So thanks a lot, Dave, for an inspiring presentation, and a bit of virtual applause for you, I think is in order. So thanks a lot for that. All right, there are more questions for Dave in the chat, actually. So I will ask Dave to have a look at those after his presentation, so right now, and I'm sure he can join the chat there and respond to some of those additional questions. And anyway, the chat will not be lost. The platform will stay there. I saw that also as one of the questions. The platform will still be available after today for the next coming weeks, so you can always return to it to review sessions, to consult some of the documents and content that is uploaded. All right, time for me to introduce our next speakers, in plural actually, because we have 2 people from ING who are going to talk about the digital workplace journey of ING. So I'm very pleased to have, first of all, Aletta van Asperen from ING based in the Netherlands. Very easy, of course, for her to join us as well today because it's all virtual. So welcome to you, Aletta. And we also have Alain Gilson, based in Belgium, working at ING Belgium. So welcome to this presentation, Alain. I do know the case study of ING quite well because I have been talking and meeting with Alain quite a bit in the past. So I think it is really interesting to see also how it has evolved over the years, starting from many different intranets. Then there was an effort to build a single intranet, and I believe this is now evolving to a more global kind of employee experience portal. So kind of the next step of where ING is taking its digital workplace. So I'm going to give the floor to Aletta and Alain. I think Aletta, you will start off the talk and Alain will take over later in the presentation. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Aletta van Asperen and I work as a product owner for ING Group, and that means that I'm responsible for our global intranet together with a lot of other colleagues. We try to support this platform for over 70,000 employees within ING. And today I want to tell you a little bit about the journey that we've made during the last years, to put that into a bit of context, and also indeed share how we are trying to take some next steps into evolving into the digital workplace. But maybe first, give me a brief introduction on ING, as far as you're not familiar with that. But we are a global financial institution. We do have a strong European base. We offer banking services both for retail and wholesale clients. Officially, we have 50,000 employees, but we have a lot of additional staff working for us as well. So we have a workforce of around 70,000 people. We have 39 million retail customers. And well, we do that. We serve those customers in over 40 countries. We are a listed company, and we are listed on the exchanges of Amsterdam, Brussels, and New York. And that also means that we have a lot of obligations to to take into account being a global listed company. Well, having that said, maybe good to give you an introduction on the journey that we've made in the last years. So back in 2014, we had a new CEO, and we also had a new strategy. And that new strategy was called Think Forward. And that basically meant that we as a whole ING group wanted to take steps towards building a truly global company. Also kind of building a single customer experience globally, independent from where you are. And to be able to achieve that, a lot of things had to change internally as well. And we started a far-reaching project called Unite, which meant that we started to harmonize a lot of processes within ING, to harmonize also the way we offer products to customers, and also to harmonize the ways how we work together globally and also between the countries. Well, within that context, we also started to look at where we were at that point in time with our intranet. We had a lot of different intranets in place, so a lot of countries had their own. It was hard to access content, to access information, and you can imagine that that is a barrier if you want to build a global company, so to say. So at that time, we also started to think of what would be the step that we needed as ING to take to overcome these barriers. And we did that by building what we call our global one intranet. And that was a global single application, which is multilingual, so it is possible for all ING employees to see it in their own language. It's a bit personalized. We call it role-based, to make sure that you find the information that is specific for the role that you have, whether you work in retail, whether you work in wholesale. But being or doing such a huge effort to bring together a lot of intranets, it also meant that we had to make a lot of compromises, and as a result, we also built quite a heavily customized platform. And I can show you a little bit about what that looks like a bit later on. We currently have quite a interesting governance structure in place, with a lot of people facilitating our intranet. We have over 50 country admins, as we call them, so people who are locally responsible for their part of the intranet. Together with a team of people, I work for the global team, and we run it, let's say, from headquarters. But of course, we cannot go without the collaboration with our colleagues in the countries to make sure that we run our intranet in an efficient way. And we have over 1,000 people publishing content on the intranet, and we do that for more than 70,000 users. Well, this is what we have today, and we now want to take the next step, so to say. We are kind of at the end of life of our current platform. So already 2 years ago, we started to think about what would be the next step that we needed to take. We also saw that we really needed to think about new technology to also offer new opportunities and new possibilities to our employees, and also to be able to offer more value for our users. And basically that is what we are now trying to build, and I can also show you a little bit of our ideas on that a bit later on. But basically we will start to build a new platform based on Office 365 and using a lot of the integration possibilities that are part of that technology. But let me first take you a bit through what we have today, our global one intranet that is being used in all these ING countries by 70,000 users. It's a platform where we bring together news, where we bring together social. We combine that on one homepage. It is available in each language that we use within ING, and we have over 9 official languages within our company. We offer it, as I said before, a bit role-based, so let's say a bit personalized. We have a standard harmonized navigation. That means that wherever you are on the platform, the navigation is still the same. Also, in the different languages, we still use the same baseline for our navigation, and that is to also make sure that you have this kind of single user experience on the platform, and not a lot of different ones in different places. Let me show you a little bit on what our platform looks like. We combine global and local news. That we have a news carousel where we publish both global news, so that's news coming out of headquarters, usually about topics that are really of interest to all employees worldwide. You can think about, for example, quarterly figures, for example, or CEO announcements. But we combine it in a news overview, which also contains local news. So we try to bring it together in one view for the user. We also have news and social on our homepage. And since we're already taking our first steps towards rolling out Office 365 elements, you also see that, for example, we added Yammer to our homepage, and that is already a first, let's say, sign of what we're building in terms of our new platform. And I will show a little bit of what that looks like a bit later on as well. As said, we have a multilingual platform. It is available in 9 languages. So that means that people can look and browse through the navigation in their own language, but they also can see content in their own language. That was done on purpose, although English is, let's say, the official business language within ING. We also know that not in every country people are mastering English at the level that they can always understand what is being published. So having the availability of seeing content and navigating in your own language was a really important one for us to make sure that we brought the platform also very close to the user. Now we are taking the next step. We have learned that we did a good job in building a global platform, but it's also time to take a next step, because of course we also made some mistakes where we want to learn from, but I think maybe more important, we want to also make sure that we offer more value to users and also take a step closer to personalization and making it more relevant what you see on your part of the platform, and that also is much closer to, for example, what you do in your daily work. So what we envision and what we're now building is called ING Today. And in our vision, it is, let's say, the global digital front door for employees, meaning that we bring together news, information, social, but not only that, also the access to, for example, tooling and widgets containing information that is handy to do your job. So we want to take it a step further and try to kind of build a better user experience, which has more value and where you can actually do more and let's say also can let's say start your working day in a more efficient way. So what does that new platform look like? It's something that we're building at this very moment. So unfortunately, I could not really show you a part of that. So I'm showing you some designs of what we're doing. And hopefully in a couple of weeks from now, we can have our first part of the platform live. So I'm looking forward to that. But for now, I'm showing some mock-ups here just to give you an idea of what we're doing. We still have, let's say, a harmonized navigation. that we will use throughout the platform in the same way as we have today. Also offering this navigation in all the ING languages, but we want to make it more personal. And the way we want to do that is also making sure that what you see on your homepage is something that you have also consciously made a choice for. So when the user will visit the platform for the first time, we will ask the user to also set their preferences and to make sure that they let the system know what information and what news they are interested in, to make sure that we can show that information so that what you see on your homepage is relevant for you. The next thing that we have as part of the platform is that we want to bring together tools and widgets with the idea behind it that we want to make the user journey much more efficient. And maybe it's something that you recognize within other big companies as well. A lot of tools are all over the place. And from a user point of view, it's very useful if you bring those together in one personal hub. And that's what we want to do on the new platform. We also want to improve in the way we navigate through the platform. We also will offer, let's say, landing pages where we bring together, again, the idea of combining content with, let's say, an easy way to navigate to tools that you might use. For example, on a landing page, you can imagine that you have what we call widgets that show you information coming out of other systems, but that help the user to already get an idea, for example, of the hours of leave that you have left, or maybe some e-learnings that you still have to do. Information coming from another system, but relevant for the user, and it's very handy if you can see that in one overview. So that's the vision that we are working on. We also have learned that in our current platform, we have made it, well, not always very easy for users to find their way around. So we want to improve in terms of how we let users navigate through the platform. We will use mega menu navigation so that it's much easier for users to already get an idea of what content resides in what place. Of course, search has a very, very prominent place and also plays a very prominent role in how we let users find what they're looking for. But of course, people have their own ways of looking for information. So this is one of the ways that we want to improve, and also one of the lessons learned from our current platform. Last but not least, we want to make sure that we have a good mobile experience, both for the new platform, but also for parts of that new platform. Since we're launching Office 365, we are also using services like Stream for video and Yammer for communities. They both have a separate mobile app that's already available within the company, but also for our new platform, we want to make sure that we have a good mobile experience. It's very easy to access information and news on your mobile as well. So how do we develop ING today? Well, we already did a small first minimum viable product for a small target audience, just to test and try whether we could bring the new technology live within ING. We were successful. We did that earlier this year, and now we're taking the next step and doing a pilot or doing 2 pilots to gain experience on how to onboard a country on that new platform. We already started beginning of this year to launch Stream and Yammer as services which we can roll out quite easily to users because they also have these standalone apps available. But we also, of course, want to make sure that it's part of the new platform, and that's also how we position it. It's basically the first signs that you see that we are kind of evolving towards this Office 365 platform. Well, as in the example of the mega menu, we want to integrate lessons learned from some of the mistakes that we made in the past. And once we've done that, we will be hopefully ready next year to onboard the ING countries to the new platform. And maybe to round up or wrap up my part of the presentation quickly, what does step-by-step look like in practice? Well, this is a page showing you this first MVP that we did for a very small audience, but for us an important kind of test and try and also experience to learn how this new technology works. Yammer, we have that live in already many ING countries, and Stream, also a new video channel, which is also live in many ING countries. So I guess that was my part of what I wanted to share today, how we built One Intranet and how we're now slowly evolving into Office 365. And yeah, being a big corporate, we have to take it step by step. But I guess it's an interesting journey, and I now want to give the floor to my colleague Alain to ask him to share his experience on how he has experienced this journey within ING. Alain, the floor is yours.
Yes, Aletta, and good morning, everybody. I'm very happy indeed to deep dive a little bit on this global local relationship. So I'm Alain Gilson, and I'm working in the communication area at ING Belgium as a channel manager. So I want to start by highlighting, in fact, what we win with this one single platform, but also the impact of such a choice. Sorry. Well, first of all, we know that, and you know probably, it's not a secret that ING tend to be more a one, and that's really a direction where we tend to go. And so it's nice to experience that this kind of strategy is also concretely translated in several projects and implementation. Of course, with this model, we won in terms of easiness, because we have now a clear and single business model shared worldwide. So it gives some visibility and strongness, I think. And I come back on this. Of course, having one single platform, well, we have a dedicated state-of-the-art IT management. We have the classical test, def, acceptance, production platform. Also, all the risk assessment and the administration you have with such a channel is facilitated by this one. It is mostly done on one place. Of course, you have some local specificities that needs to be answered. But my point is, when I remember the time when we had our own platform in Belgium, it was really a huge trajectory, and you will probably recognize it when you try to have a priority in the IT team to get some new functionality for the intranet. So that's really that facilitated a lot our life. Of course, this has also a positive impact on the cost for sure. And as Aletta told, we try to take advantage a lot of all this Office 365 technology today. And of course, the fact that we don't have to manage all these development risk aspects makes that we can much more focus on our channel management job. And our channel management job is not so much all this implementation, is much more guiding our colleagues how to best use the platform to make efficient communication. Also, in terms of support and criticity, the fact that we are one, we have a dedicated channel where we are permanently connected with the core team and with all country admin worldwide. And I can assume you, when there happens something with a huge impact, we are very strong in having the incident solved as soon as possible. So that's almost positive thing. And of course, it opens a lot of positive collaboration possibilities cross-border with colleagues in the Netherlands, but also worldwide. I remember in the world before. We had some organized by the core team, some country admin meetings, two times by year, and it was always a pleasure, of course, to exchange with colleagues in Poland, Romania, Turkey. It's really open. Of course, there are some impact as clear roles and responsibilities. So it means that indeed we are country admin, and the role of country admin is in fact shortly say to make it happen in the country, where finally the ownership is the role of the core team where Aletta belongs. So it means also that they will have in fact the final decision, because they are responsible to make a platform available, a working platform. So that's a nice relationship. Everybody is playing his role. Of course, Aletta is the PO of the new platform. So her objective, of course, is to deliver at a certain moment in time a new platform. As we, country admin, our objective is to get the most of functionalities of the minimum viable product that will be delivered. But it's really, it happens on a really professional way, and that's also on of our Orange culture, where respect, openness, diversity is very important. It's also a complementary relationship in the sense that they are concentrate on the platform, but they don't face so much the end user, where we are on the floor and we have the floor experience. And also Belgium and Netherlands, of course, counts the most of the end user. But yes, we need to make some compromise, and you see here, of course, the technology on functionality and building one single model. Yeah, you cannot cover all local specificities. That's logic. But by the end, really, as we experience, and me personally, it opened a lot of doors instead of closing them. So that's my first insight about this experience. But let us deep dive now in what means, in fact, the intranet in Belgium. So we can see here, we have the consumption since the month of January till very recently in October, and we see this 6,500,000 page views for Belgium, knowing that we are some 8,500 colleagues. It comes on approximately 30,000 page views by day. So it means that each colleague should consult by day 3 pages. Of course, when we deep dive in identifying where is this cluster of consumption, we see, of course, that most of this consumption, more than 75%, is from our colleagues from the retail banking area. And it is quite normal, as this platform is from a long time already. We make a business critical usage. It's very important door for all colleagues to their work instructions, and certainly for our colleagues in the branch. I will now show you through a series of print screens how this relationship is translated also in terms of interface. I think that you see my cursor, so I will guide you. We recognize here this famous carousel presented by Aletta, where we have 3 local slots and where the group has one, so they can push a message worldwide to the portal page of each colleague worldwide. So that's quite a nice possibility. And you see that because I'm a Belgian colleague, I receive the news from Belgium, but also the news from the group. These are the 2 default news feeds that all colleagues receive. Of course, a colleague of retail banking will receive on top of this the news from retail banking. As you see on the top, we have in the main navigation some global entries, but we have also what we call the business entry. So this entry is linked to your profile. I'm from communication, so I'm in the support area. Well, a colleague of retail banking will see their retail banking and will access like this to the information closest to him. Does it mean that we can only see this? No, of course. We have a subscription mechanism allowing us, and almost everywhere, you will see it with the next slide, we can add and personalize our view by adding other content feed from Belgium, but also from other countries. And that is also the same. I told you I receive by default the news from ING Belgium and from the group, but as you can see, I could add a lot of other news feed again with this subscription mechanism that is also there for the news content. We see
5
here
minutes, Alain. 5 minutes left.
5 minutes. So then I will speed up. We see here the entry page for the support and services area, and where we see here that we can easily change of information level by the usage of the tab. Again, this subscription mechanism. I will speed up a little bit on the slide. This is our homepage of retail banking. What is interesting here is to highlight, and we see it in the top right part of the screen. This is all linked to social communities, but social communities became really official communication channels. We have here an example with one of this community, the one of the Zone Sud, and we can see in terms of usage of the last 90 days that they could reach, that this community became really a daily channel that is heavily used by all these colleagues in the so that's illustrate a perfect integration of the social value in the enterprise. And there are other print screen of key communities, some print screen of layout, of best practice, what we can achieve in terms of design by using the feature of the existing technology, but we see that we can already integrate a stream, a series of videos channel from stream, and we created also our own page that groups all the video managed by the communication colleagues in the stream. So I will directly and also end with some conclusion on what we learned. And what we learned is that one big learning, and Aneta pointed it already, is the role-based perception. We were very happy, and it was a key feature, but unfortunately, it remains not enough known by the end. That's a very big surprise. On the other hand, what we really experience, we are much more working cross-border with our colleagues from the Netherlands. Most of our departments are, by the way, cross-border. But it happened just after the new platform. And what we noticed is that even if we have one single platform, we have, with our colleagues in the Netherlands, totally different ways of produce the information and to consume it. Another important aspect we cannot neglect is the level of availability of editors. Today we are very free in making the content, but we know that the average availability an editor can spend on content, can invest in all these features is reduced. So as challenge, we have, and Aneta presented it, a much more conscious process for the role-based. We will have probably also a more facilitated, and I mean with this, a more structured editor journey. And on our side, on the country side, of course, we will build with our colleagues of the Netherlands on a stronger and aligned governance. And I think also, it's already pointed also in the previous presentation with Dave. We face, beforehand we were only intranet. We grow to a lot of more channels we use, channel management, but today we are overwhelmed by a lot of other applications coming from IT, and I think we really think our role tomorrow. But again, that's a nice challenge. We had already all challenges in the past. I remember in previous session 5 years ago, everybody were looking to SharePoint 2030. Now everybody is looking to a digital workplace. And my point is, finally, and I hope I could share with you this feeling, I really found that the digital adventure is above all a human adventure, energizing and engaging. Shortly say, guys, we have a tough job. And it's no time for some question, I hope.
Okay, thanks, Alain. There's not a lot of time left for questions, unfortunately, because we've already come to the end, but I saw that Aletta has answered quite a few questions in the chat already. There's maybe just one, Aletta, regarding Yammer and how you promote Yammer in the various countries. You said you wanted to expand a bit on that at the end of the presentation, so maybe very briefly, just 1 minute.
Yeah, well, I try to keep it short. Our team is responsible for bringing the technology to the country, so to say. So we leave it in local hands of what we call our country admins, such, for example, as Alain, to really activate that locally and also to make sure that we, because from a global point of view, it's always difficult to understand all the specific cultural elements maybe in communications. But we've seen some really nice examples of how countries do that. For example, in Romania, we saw during the COVID lockdown locally that they did a very active campaign, and a lot of, for example, managers started sharing what their working from home place looks like, and they started sharing pictures and telling some little stories, and that kind of drove a lot of people to doing the same. So you saw some really nice interactions happening there, and we also saw that COVID also kind of did, maybe a strange thing to say, but also in a way facilitated the adoption by employees, because there clearly was a need for employees as well to stay in touch with each other. So also people found their own way on the platform without us driving it too much. All right, very good. Okay, I think we have to close here. There is still a couple of questions in the chat, so Alain and Aletta, just have a look at that, and I'm sure you can answer those and address those after this session. We need to close here because we have a break coming up, and that's also important in virtual meetings and virtual conferences, to have a break from time to time away from our webcams and headsets. I do want to mention the 3 breakout sessions that are coming up now. So after the break at 10:50, you have a choice. There is a presentation of the new intranet of Thalys, the high-speed train operator. There's a presentation from EMEC about their implementation of the digital workplace. And there is also a session around collaboration and enhanced collaboration in these difficult times, inspired by the principles of sociocracy 3.0 by Dette. So 3 interesting sessions, I'm sure. So it's going to be difficult to choose, but well, that's how it is in conferences like these. And I do want to remind you that we are recording the sessions, so you can always return back to them after the conference in the days ahead of us and review a session that you may have missed. So we're going to take a short break now. This is also an opportunity to go and visit the exhibitor spaces and see what exhibitors have to offer. And we are back on our agenda at 10:50 with a choice of 3 breakout sessions, which will then again be followed by another round of breakout sessions. So do have a look at the agenda and pick the ones that are most interesting for you. All right, so see you back soon. Have a good break, and we'll talk again in the breakout sessions. See you soon.